Good afternoon, Glaves, Jacks, and Nanos. Michael Feenan here for the9thworld.com, where we have another product review to bring you today. This one coming to you courtesy of Metalweave Games. Metalweave Games, of course, owned and ran by Andreas Walters, who many of you know from other Numenera supplements such as The Naval Perils, notable NPCs, and some other works there. This particular product comes from a Kickstarter that he created. I believe it was late in 2013, if my memory serves me correctly, and was just finished up recently. It should be hitting people's doorsteps if you've backed the Kickstarter. You should have it today. You may have already gotten it, or if not, hopefully sometime this week. This product is basically a set of cards for, 8 decks of 50 cards that you can use to generate non-playing characters. What is interesting about this boxed set is that it is not Numenera specific, it is not Cypher System specific, but because he's done so much for the Numenera community and is so well known, and also collaborated with a lot of other folks who are very big in the Cypher System community. Andrew Montgomery Hurl, Carl Larson, Gareth Hodges, and I apologize to anybody else who I may have missed on that. Aaron Eric, I believe, was also the artist behind most of the artwork in the box. I thought this would be especially relevant to share with the community. But also, if you play any other games, whether it's if you're a 13th age guy, 13th age, Shadowrun, D&D, Warhammer, Earth Dawn, whatever your tastes may be, creating NPCs is both challenging from a GM aspect, creating an adventure, creating a world or community, but also from a player aspect. One thing that I've noticed after going through some of these cards is that this is also a great character building tool to help you generate characteristics for a player's character, and especially if you are playing a game where you have things like if you can take traits or disabilities or things like that that may influence whether you get more build points or things of that nature. This comes with 8 decks. You have names, relationships, traits, professions, quirks, personalities, goals, and secrets. You can use as many or as few of them as you want, depending on what the interaction calls for. And I'm going to crack the box open, and we will take a look and go through a few of them, read a few of them, and then I'll show you what it looks like to actually generate an NPC using this set of cards. Okay, so now I thought I'd open this up and give you a look at what's inside the box. Like I mentioned before, this is a total of 8 decks. You get 2 little inserts here that just basically goes over the thank you to all the Kickstarter backers, of which there are obviously lots of them. There's no way you can probably read the names in the video here, but lots of support for what they were doing, which is great. Also just a card that explains what each of the decks is that's in the box. On the back side, it breaks them down, each of the 8 that I mentioned. The way it basically comes together is very simple. Names, obviously, very easy. The name deck, I'll show you momentarily, is just a list of names you can roll on a card and get what you need. Also, some prefixes and suffixes, I believe, and joiners, so that you can create more complex names. Professions, what that NPC does. Relationships, how they may be connected to the player characters. Personalities, how they behave and what drives them there. Traits, which are physical things that you may notice about one of the NPCs. Quirks, which are behavioral issues. Do they have tics? Do they, have behaviors that might make them stand out? What goals they have, and then also what secrets they may have. And again, a lot of this, the secrets may not be important to you if the NPC is never going to show up in your campaign again. So think about how you may use these as a GM in terms of how deep you need to go. Each box is done with its own art. Every card outside of the names cards are all beautifully done with unique artwork on all of those cards. Flip these over here. Like I say, we'll take a look at each of these here, and I'll try to go through them relatively quickly, but give you an idea of what is in each one of them. I'll start with the name, since that's pretty much the easiest one. Each deck also does include an individual insert card that just explains what that deck is for. The names, again, like I say, these are just lists basically of different names that you can go through, or fragments. So here's your prefixes, suffixes, and joiners if you want to put names together in different ways. And they're all set up to be able to just have a d20 roll and generate at random. If you don't, you can just flip through them and pick names, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Professions are also relatively straightforward. Again, beautiful artwork on the back, matches the box. You have your descriptor card again, but then each of these cards has unique artwork on them related specifically to what you're seeing. So in this case, and they're alphabetically ordered when you get them, academic, administrator, blacksmith, doctor, hunter, merchant, servant, teacher. I see my handy assistant Echo is joining us here. If you see him pop into the video from the side, my dog here. But each one, unique artwork, each one with a descriptor. So in this case, like with an academic, you make your living in the higher arts of academics and research. You could be a professor, researcher, experimenter, or philosopher. You are studious, perhaps bookish, and have an obvious passion for learning. The professions are obviously things that you're going to run into in any game for the most part. None of these are specific, like I say, to Numenera or the Cipher system or to any game necessarily. And depending on what you're doing as a GM, if you're campaign building or whatever, you may not want to pick these at random or anything like that. You may specifically want to look for, the craftsman or the explorer or whatever the case may be. Personalities. Each one of these are 50 card decks, if I remember correctly. Again, your explainer card. Going through, same deal, unique artwork. Every single card, very pretty, very nice to go through, and this is what I really enjoy about the set as a whole, is that it's enjoyable to sit down and just go through them and see both what they were looking at from a contextual and logistical point of view. It's easy to just say, your personality is an architect, which is different from a profession. I'll read that one specifically. But also how they tied in all of that artwork and the amount of effort that went into making this such a beautiful product. In this case, architect, rather than being a profession, you are a master planner. You set up the pieces, position the players, and eventually orchestrate your desired outcome. You believe that only you can control your fate, and that each event requires precise planning and execution. So you're a puppet master, basically, as the NPC. Some other ones, you're a fanatic, you're a lone wolf, you're a mediator, you're a rogue, you're a supplicant, you're a thrill seeker. You've got a whole list of different personalities to choose from there to give your NPC more color. I want to save secrets towards the last. Let's go to traits next. I mentioned traits are physical characteristics that the NPC has. So in this case, the first one pops up, abnormal height. You have heavily armed. You have carries exotic equipment, foreign accent, missing limb, profuse perspiration, basically anything physical that can make the person stand out or be identifiable, and just give them a quality that they would not otherwise have. Just to pick one at random here, let's go with missing limb. You are missing a limb or body part, and you have a stump or scar where it would normally be, and it's got a D6 roll on it to choose what body part that may be in this case. You have a unique trinket. You carry a unique trinket with you, which draws a lot of attention and comment. It may be a belt buckle, medallion, clasp, or ring that speaks of an interesting and rich history, or something truly strange and unidentifiable. So basically, things that make you stand out, things that make the person memorable to others, or anything along those lines. Relationships can help, especially if you are planning a campaign, when it comes to determining how the NPC is directly connected to the characters. This obviously is less important if it's a random encounter. Like I say, this is very much a mix and match set. If it's a random encounter, you may only want to pull 2 or 3 of these cards out, depending on what that might be. In this case, some examples: saved is the top one there. Murder witness, sibling, they're in debt to them, former leader, a crime witness, a child, a brother in arms, black sheep, and let me just grab one here. So mortal enemy is a perfect example. You crossed someone and became their mortal enemy. Now they will not rest until you are dead, and there will be no diplomacy or mercy. It's likely they've already tried to kill you, and you know they will not stop until you breathe your last. So this is just a good way of setting up how those NPCs are connected to the players themselves. Quirks. I mentioned that the quirks are behavioral things of the NPC, and again, I want to keep emphasizing and re-emphasizing all of the unique artwork as we go through here. As I'm flipping through these cards, they're not repeating the same stuff over and over. You have a kleptomaniac, you have exhausted, bibliophile, you have everything. I'm trying to read these upside down, I'm sorry. Always drinking, sickly, soliloquists, spits, stammers. So these are things that, while you have the traits which are physical in nature and can be seen from a distance, the quirks control how they behave. These are also really good when it comes to the player characters themselves. Like I mentioned before, you could use these to help give your player some unique qualities, like you're lecherous. When you find someone sexually appealing and make no effort to hide it, leering over them with obvious looks, whistles, and bald-faced innuendo, many people find your brand of attention unsettling or rude. So you can give these qualities to both NPCs or players, and use that as part of the storytelling mechanism. The last 2, goals. Again, this is one that really is going to matter if you're campaign building. Altruism, extermination, indulgence, laughter, longevity, new beginnings. These are things that the NPC is after. So let's pick one. Powerful physique. Physical prowess and feats of strength are how you define yourself. You use your muscles to woo the crowds and draw the eyes as you demonstrate your awesome power. Hungry for praise, you eat up the adoration and awe of those impressed by your might. So think about how that might drive an NPC to search for a magical item that will make them stronger. They may enlist your group of players to help them attain that. They may be, a fighter of some kind. They may be any number of things that would lead them to become power hungry over this physique and the pursuit of that. Redemption, reunion, revenge is, an obvious one, the hunt. But lots of ways in which you can set up an NPC and then set up an adventure around whatever goal that person is after. And then tying into that, finally, are the secrets. And the secrets are the things that you would know as the GM, but the players themselves don't necessarily know. Unless, of course, this is, again, kind of like the Quirks. These could be secrets that the players themselves have and, hold from the other players that maybe are revealed either through GM interactions or through NPC interactions or whatever the case may be. Abandoned family, agent, you're blackmailed, you're a cross-dresser, embezzler, exiled, fooled, heart of gold. These are things that they aren't necessarily all bad. They're just things that aren't that they aren't available immediately, or that the person may try to kind of keep secret for fear of being taken advantage of, or whatever the case may be. Informer, I just cut to. The NPC is a snitch, a rat, a grass, unflattering labels for what you are. You learn secrets and then sell them for money, betraying confidence for coin with little remorse. Knowledge is power, and people pay for power. You might even play both sides as a double agent. So those are the bits and pieces that all come together to create your NPC, or, like I say, use as a player to help give your own character some more color. So I'm going to cut here real fast, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in a full set how you would generate an NPC out of this and what that would look like. I'm going to draw one completely at random just to see what combination comes together. It may make sense, it may not, and you should feel free if what I draw doesn't make sense, because I'm not going to look at it until I'm actually turning them over for you. Don't be afraid as a GM to swap stuff out so that it will make sense. Obviously, you're not bound by any rules. This is a tool and should be used as such. So well, let me cut real fast, and when I come back, you will see a stack of cards in front of us. Okay, so here we go. I've drawn one card from each stack, two from the names because I wanted one for a first name, one for a last name, and just wanted to do it from two cards. And then one from each of the other stacks. I've not looked at any of them, so I have no idea what we're going to get here, which I think will be interesting, and we'll see how that turns out. The name that I rolled for this character is Ansel Nico. I took one from column A and one from column B on D20 rolls, and Ansel Nico was what I came up with. So that is who we are building. Ansel Nico is an innkeeper. As an innkeeper, anyone with the coin can be your friend with a drink in their hand, a meal in their belly, and a room for the night. You have a friendly but no-nonsense demeanor and know when to forget what you hear, as well as remember. So Ansel Nico will be our innkeeper. Obviously, a good start for an NPC, since players usually need a place to stay frequently, so someone they can run into and have an interaction with. From a trait standpoint, our good man Ansel has a ritual scarification. You display upon your body patterns and artwork created via the deliberate and careful creation of scars through ritual or special practices. You might have simple brands or symbols, or elaborate full-body patterns and images. So maybe not just scarification, but this could be tattoos, this could be any number of things, depending on especially the game you're playing. I mean, my God, if you're playing like a Call of Cthulhu or something like that, that kind of thing could weigh in quite heavily. Or I think back to Earth Dawn and the horrors do to people and stuff like that. So your friendly innkeeper who has lots of ritual scarification going on. As a quirk, he is a perfectionist. Everything you do must be perfect, from your house to your achievements to your pets. You desire a world of perfection, and when you see a mistake in anything, from a pattern to a social event, you find it unbearable. And So we start tying these things together. Perfectionist obviously can lay into an innkeeper very well, that he tries to maintain a very clean, very tight ship in terms of the places that he lets people stay. But also the ritual scarification may have something to do with trying to draw power from some source in order to make the world more perfect. The quirk can run as shallow or as deep as you want, and may also play in depending on what we see in goals and secrets. That quirk could be very interesting there. From the relationship standpoint, the innkeeper is the childhood rival of one of the players. As a child, you were rivals, always competing, always looking to one-up the other. You may have been encouraged into it by others or naturally developed it, but the rivalry might still burn under the surface after all of these years. So the innkeeper is familiar with one or more of the NPCs and sees them as a childhood rival, so you can use that as sort of an antagonistic relationship perhaps, especially if they come upon the innkeeper randomly in a town or something of that nature where they have been. His personality, he's a pessimist. You know that the worst case scenario isn't just a possibility, it's inevitable. What can go wrong will go wrong. You've seen it time and time again. You say it all the time. Why won't anyone listen? More the fool them. This also plays into the perfectionist quirk, where you always see fault in the world around, or rather the NPC always sees fault in the world around them and is constantly trying to correct that and make it better, and also plays back into the trait. So far we've got kind of a very working, nothing is clashing too bad here for a random draw. Goals. The innkeeper's goal is simply survival. You just want to live. Life is hard and the world is unforgiving, so you just try to hold on and squeeze out as much life as you can before the end. Whatever doom is hovering over you, be it illness or enemy, you fight to hold on. You will survive. This could very much, especially, let's start thinking bigger picture. Maybe the innkeeper, our friend Ansel here, maybe he isn't the central character of an adventure, but is a puppet of another NPC that you've created, who has been specifically pitted because of the childhood rivalry against the NPCs, and so has this survival instinct that he must overcome while resolving whatever conflict is to arise from that, that whatever you as the GM have written for that story. And finally, the secret that he has is that he's been fooled. You've lived all your life under a false impression. You were tricked into believing something, perhaps by your parents or a close friend. That moment of gullibility changed everything, and you feel deeply ashamed and guilty. So think about how, now that I've got all these out, imagine how these things start to come together. Being fooled into the ritual scarification with the idea that perhaps it would help bring closure to this idea that he's a perfectionist, and maybe that part of being fooled has also led to this survival fight that he's in now with whoever has fooled him. So this in turn leads to the generation of another NPC that then is perhaps puppeteering this interaction. So very interesting way of developing a story, especially if you are trying to just come up with something. If you're trying to find an adventure and don't have any ideas, you can pull out some of these cards, pair them together, and see what matches, what doesn't, and what helps create a story framework around a character. I was playing with this a little bit earlier and created a very powerful and war-hungry in combat engineer sort of character that was hell-bent on world domination, basically. And so very much an alpha character that you could build an adventure around as the main antagonist for a story. Ansel is a secondary character, I think, from what we drew here. But This gives you an idea of not just what's available, but also the color to it. Again, the artwork I can't say enough about, enough good things about. But hopefully this gives you a good idea of how you can use it. Think about how you can use this as a GM. So that is a look at the NPC, or non-player card, an Artful NPC Generator box set from Metalweave Games. You can look for this for sale very soon in retail channels. You can look at metalweavegames.com. He has a shop page there. I'll put a little link down in the doobly-doo of the video so that you can click it there. I do not believe it is for sale yet, but it should be through his site, probably through DriveThruRPG, and I believe Amazon. I think it will retail for around $40. If it doesn't, don't blame him, blame me, because I'm just going off of what I think I remember reading. There is also the non-player compendium, which is the PDF version of this box set. It's in book format, so if you would prefer to have either a printable booklet of all of this information, or would just rather work from a PDF rather than using the cards, it's all the same information, just in more of a booklet format. That's $10. I believe it's available on DriveThruRPG right now. Again, I'll throw a link down in the doobly-doo. I just like saying that. So take a look at that if that is of interest to you, certainly. Also, look at some of the other things from Metalweave Games, whether it's the naval expansions, the NPC stuff he's done previously, or other expansions that are useful for other games, like the Baby Bestiary and some of the other work he's done. As for the product, I definitely recommend it. It is a beautiful product. There's a lot of thought, a lot of effort that went into this. It's a great resource for both GMs and players alike. Well worth picking up and sticking on your shelf. Otherwise, join us at the9thworld.com. You can always stop by the site, submit your own ideas for artifacts or ciphers, oddities, any foci or anything like that that you'd like. Or if you want to join the Cipher System community, run by hub.cyphercast.net. That's where we have the Cipher System forums. You can talk about Numenera, you can talk about the Cipher System in general. There's a section there for No Thank You Evil, which of course is going to be coming up very soon, as well as anything you may be doing with the Cipher System in game creation. As for the Ninth World, I am Michael Feenan. That will do it for today's review, and I hope to see you in the next one. And for now, keep Numenera weird.